1:03, and we've got 26 people online, President Steve. And, one more coming in, and I will go ahead and mute all with the weekly reminder that I will edit out personal in medical information. I'll actually edit out everything up to this point, but we are recording. So it is all yours, President Steve.
Thank you, Cecil. And first of all, I want to thank everybody who hung around last week and put up with the boring speaker that we had. I watched it and it was painful all the way through. Do we have any concerns that we need to pass on to Dean for his invocation? So we'll turn it over to you for the invocation.
Thank you, President Steve. I'll start out this with generically, even though I would choose to start this prayer out differently, but I will say to whomever you choose to pray to. We thank you for the opportunity to gather as Rotarians, and may your blessings be upon us in this Zoom meeting. We could soon assemble in person together and to have fellowship and to just serve and enjoy meals together. Our prayers are for those that are both more fortunate, but especially to those less fortunate. Help us to be responsible, I hope you will be responsive, Lord, to both our spoken and our unspoken request. And may we as Rotarians always apply the four-way test to our actions and our words and our thoughts. And Lord, now we do want to pray a special prayer for Mike Powers. Pray that you'll be with Steve Brown and give Steve a peace right now that he will carry with him through and after surgery. And we pray for complete healing. And we pray for Ellen, same prayer, Lord. Pray that you'll be with her and give her a calm and a peace and a successful surgery. And Father, it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dean. And Paul Starnes has our pledge and four-way test.
Let's join in pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's join now in the four-way test. And I can't see it, but of all the things we say and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Paul. Next on my agenda, I have happy dollars. Do we have any happy dollar folks out there this week? Mark, do you have a happy dollar? Or are you just shuffling papers?
Just unmuting right now for an announcement.
Okay. Any happy dollars at all? If not, I had Mark on my list of being our first announcement.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to invite all of you for an open door volunteer opportunity next Thursday on the 25th. And I think I've got Larry Leatherwood down. If there are any other volunteers at this point in time, I'd love to hear from you guys.
Rick Croskery.
Thank you.
Put me down. I think I can handle working in the kitchen with my shoulder.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Well, I will send out my usual email looking for some additional help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. See, Bill Owen's not on, is he?
No, he's not on today.
Has he told us anything about backpack lately?
Yes, they did. I think 200 and he wrote me this morning. I believe it was 200, if I can find it right quick. And I'm not going to, I'll just take your time up.
Okay. And we haven't had to raise any funds for that this year, have we, Cecil?
No, we have not billed for backpack this year.
Need to
Not
find
not
out.
the individual support that we've done in the past. We did not do that this year.
Okay. Let's see, is Mike McLean, here's Mike McLean. Is he coming on? Mike
Yeah,
McLean?
I'm on here. My camera went out.
Okay. Mike McLean responded to our request for somebody to take on the motorcycle club of Rotarians. And I've seen some emails going back and forth. Mike, you want to give us an update on?
Yeah. This group is about 20 to 30. It's the International Rotarian. I forget. There's an acronym for it, but anyway, it'll be in August. They're going to come for Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Maggie Valley. They've already booked their hotels. What they've requested, I'm going to help them in planning their rides. They're doing a ride on Friday morning, on Saturday, and Sunday is, I think, a visit to the museum, Wheels Through Time. But they've requested to meet with us for lunch if we're open and having our meetings with a lunch, and then to do a volunteer project in the afternoon of some kind. They're open to anything that we feel would be a good fit for that. And there'll be a total of around 20, 25 people probably in attendance.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you stepping up and doing that.
No problem. I like to ride.
Good. As far as our bus camera campaign, Cecil has told me we have $240 has been pledged to that. That makes us about 1,674 or 1,600 whatever short. So please help support this. It was a very good project for last year, and we can help outfit a couple more buses so they can have cameras to watch for people, stopping people from going around stopped school buses. Steve Brown, you have anything about Pancake Day?
Thank you, President Steve. Yes, it's coming around. Believe it or not, next Tuesday will be the 65th anniversary of the Pancake Day at First United Methodist Church. And as all of y'all know, it's going to be done virtually this year. And I want to thank all the Rotarians who helped put a sponsorship together for the Waynesville Rotary Club. And we're going to start pickups of meals this weekend. You can go by the church parking lot on Sunday afternoon between 2 and 5, Monday between 12 and 6, and on Pancake Day, which would be Tuesday, would be between 3 and 6. And we're going to have packets of pancake mix for enough to feed up to 4 people. And there's a little special commemorative spatula that we had designed for this year. And we're really excited about doing it, and we're trying to keep it alive. And hopefully next year we will be back in the church. And I had to schedule my surgery to wait till after Pancake Day because I haven't missed one in probably 30 years. So Mary Ann would probably, you know, write me off and start pulling for Carolina if I didn't show up for Pancake Day at least for a while on Tuesday. But we are excited about it, and I do appreciate it. Just stop by the church. Whether you've given anything or not given anything, it's free to everybody. If you want to make a donation, that's fine. But we've ordered, I think, a little over 1,000 meals, 1,000 packets to give out on those 3 days. And I asked Cecil if he wouldn't mind sending out an email maybe today or tomorrow just to remind everybody when the pickup times are to come by the church and pick up your packet. And it should be, as far as I know, in the big parking lot where we park for church. And there'll be tents set up, and I'll be there Tuesday afternoon doing my part, and we're excited about it. And thank you all for being a sponsor, and we look forward to having everybody there. And thanks the club too.
Thank you, Steve. The last thing I have in the way of announcements, I got an email this morning from, a copy of an email from Cecil, sending an email to Shauna at the Pigeon Street Multicultural Community Center. Cecil, can you share with us what you were writing about? And if you have any pictures, put them up.
Sure. I've got a picture here. Let me grab it. Last fall, I became aware mostly through ABC News, David Muir's evening show, about a shortage or a need of students at home doing remote learning who had no desks and were sitting around the family kitchen table, or, just kind of chaotic and situation under the best circumstances. And it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. So I started looking into it and investigating, and found out there were actually quite a few people around the country doing this. One man had done 100 desks and was still going strong. And of course, there were other options. So I started on mine, trying to get some. So I've got 3 completed. I told Steve this morning I'm not very good, but I make up for it by being really slow. So I've got these 3, and I've offered them to the Pigeon community students in the Pigeon community through Tasha, who was our speaker a few weeks back, and also asked her to see if there was any additional need. I don't know if there is any need or not. So we'll find out. I'll find out and go from there. But these 3 are ready to go. I'll see what happens. I have no idea if there's a need or a demand or not, but we'll know shortly. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Cecil. I believe there may be some other needs in other places that we might be able to explore. If anybody has any good idea about a way to find out if there's some students that would like one of those desks. I told Cecil I'd love to make a couple. I'm getting to the point where I'm itching to get out into my workshop. Jeff Norris, you had a hand up.
Could you make an announcement about the email that came from Paula earlier in the week about the award we received?
Oh, that's right. Thank you. And Paula, thank you for letting us know. You're
welcome.
The Mountaineer Best of Haywood County, we ranked number 2 as a public service organization in the county for this past year. That's a step back from number 1 a year ago, but we take the recognition of number 2.
Still good to be recognized. And just for those of you who don't know how big of a deal this is, the Mountaineer does this every year. In the past, about 2 years ago, when I came on board as director, we started doing it so that everybody could vote digitally, but also by paper ballot. And there were 500 paper ballots this past year, and it has 95 categories that you can vote in. But digitally this year, we surpassed any other year by going over 15,000 ballots. So just so you know, that's how many votes. Now, they don't always vote in every category, but that's a huge number of digital ballots that our system goes through. And so, when your name comes up again and again and again, whether it's first, second, or third place, you're doing something that the community recognizes, and the community, it helps the community. So I just wanted to say that.
Who was number 1?
Haywood Habitat for Humanity.
Very good.
Yeah.
Paula,
And third, I believe third was Altrusa.
Oh,
Paula,
Yes.
was there any truth to the rumor that the machines you were using automatically went through Jamie's office and she switched votes? I've heard that on the internet. It must be true.
No truth whatsoever. I deny that claim.
so next year we'll have to vote early and vote often.
That's right. Yeah, we do it every year. We send out notices. We put it in the paper. We put it online. We do whatever we can to garner the votes and get people involved. And people really do get involved. So
Thank you, Paul. And thanks, Jeff, for reminding me.
You're
I did not have that on the agenda. Any other announcements that we need to make the club aware of? If not, John Keith must be on page 2 of my screen. He is our program chairman this month, and I hope he's there to introduce our program.
Steve, he is not here today, but the program is actually mine, and it's
Okay.
I'll be introducing Sarajane Melton. So
Well,
if you want me to do that, I can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we're really happy to have Sarajane Melton from the Area Office on Aging. She's their director. And she resides in Jackson County with her husband, Gary. They have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. She attended Silva Webster High School and received a bachelor's degree in social work from WCU. She's also received a certificate in gerontology from WCU and has also completed her master's degree of health science from WCU as well. So firmly entrenched in the community. Her work history includes experience in the following fields of focus: childcare, adult daycare, developmental disabilities, domestic violence, child protective services, and the field of aging. She became the director of the Area Agency on Aging in 2013. And I met her about 1.5 years, 2 years ago when we started working on a project together. The Agency on Aging wanted to do an all-in-one resource guide for aging resources for that group of our citizens. And she got together with us, and the Mountaineer came on board, and that's how we got Seniors Magazine, which is the index and the resource guide that it comes out every year. So without further ado, I wanted to give a warm welcome to Sarajane Melton. Thanks, Sarajane.
Thanks, Paula. Good to see all of you. I feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch when I'm on Zoom, and I'm Zooming a lot, as you can well imagine. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I get tired of it, but I don't know how we would continue to do business in the environment that we find ourselves with COVID if we didn't have Zoom or something relative to that. I think lots of things would have stopped. So I appreciate your time today. I am Sarajane Melton, and I am the director of the Area Agency on Aging. I work under the umbrella agency of Southwestern Commission, which is a council of governments. They were formed in 1965, and there are 16 councils of governments across North Carolina. They're in every state. They just may look a little bit different. For us, the Southwestern Commission, we serve, and we certainly believe that we serve the residents of the citizens of the 7 southwestern counties: Cherokee, Clay, Graham, Haywood, Jackson, Macon, and Swain, as well as the seniors on the boundary of Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. We have a couple of departments: economic development. We're also the development district for Appalachian Regional Commission. Some of you, may be familiar with that. We're also the Rural Transportation Planning Organization, and also Workforce Innovation. And then my department, which is the Area Agency on Aging, which kind of speaks for itself. We serve older adults and their caregivers. We enjoy what we do. I've actually been at the commission since 1997. So I've been there for almost 24 years. I started as the ombudsman. I didn't even know what ombudsman meant. And I get all kinds of different definitions and different ways of saying ombudsman. But as Paula said, I became the director a few years ago, and we have a small staff, but we certainly do enjoy what we do. So our mission is to provide programs and services to seniors, caregivers, and individuals with disabilities. And as I'm not telling you all anything you don't already know, but we're graying in North Carolina. We're graying across the United States, actually. But by 2025, which is just 4 years from now, 1 in 5 North Carolinians will be 65 or older. And 3 of the counties that we serve, Cherokee, Clay, and Macon, already have 30+% folks over the age of 65. All of 7 of our counties have more population in the age bracket of over 65 than under 17. So we're already proportionately graying in every county. So our mission is to ensure that every older adult has the opportunity to live life to the fullest in the least restrictive environment. And so we do that in several ways, but we have a community component which provides community-based services for older adults and their caregivers. And then we also have a link to the long-term care facilities, the adult care homes, assisted livings, and your skilled nursing facilities as well. As far as our funding is concerned, it comes through the Older Americans Act, which was enacted in 1965 and has gone through several revisions. But just to kind of give you an idea about how that works, we get money from the federal government that comes to our state, and then our state provides a certain amount of funding for older adults. It goes through this computer funding formula, and every county in the state, all 100 counties, gets a certain amount of that money, depending on population, age, folks that are over 65, over 75, over 80. There's a little bit in there for rurality and the fact that we live in a rural area. So that money comes to us at the Area Agency on Aging, and we help the counties who do the direct service for older adults and their caregivers to make sure that that money is spent correctly. We monitor it. We come in and help do budgets and make sure services are getting to the right folks. So we're well known for your services for older adults, your adult daycare. You have an adult day in Haywood. You have a wonderful Meals on Wheels program. You have in-home aid program that serves older adults. You have two sections of that. One that only provides for some housekeeping and maybe some grocery shopping and that kind of thing. And then you also have a personal care in-home aid that if a person needs assistance with personal care, it keeps folks in their home and living independently as long as possible. My mom lived in the Laurels up until August of last year. And she was actually one of the very first residents of the Laurels, and she loved living there. But she had an aide that came in every other week and helped her with some minor housekeeping. And she loved her. It was it became a socialization point for her, as well as Meals on Wheels does for older adults. You know, we have numerous stories of volunteers who have provided a meal to an older adult, and they're the only person they see that day. We also have stories of folks where an older adult has gotten outside or is hurt and can't get to a phone, and the volunteer gets there just in time to call whomever needs to be called at that point in order to assure that the older adult is well taken care of. So getting back to the funding, we assist the folks in Haywood County. Your providers in Haywood County are HHS, Health and Human Services, and Mountain Projects. Those are the two agencies that we contract with through your local government to provide services for older adults and their caregivers. We have 5 core services. One's elder rights, making sure that folks understand, you know, we don't want to talk about it, but our elders get abused. And it's not a fun topic, but it happens. And we try to provide information and assistance about scams and other ways that older adults can be abused. Caregiver, which I've mentioned before. People think that older adults are taken care of in long-term care facilities, but really and truly the caregiving, 90% of the caregiving that goes on is done informally by either a neighbor, a friend, a daughter, a sister, family member, those kind of things. And the irony of caregiving is that 65% of caregivers pass before the person they're caring for. That is an astounding statistic. When I say it, every time I say it, I think, oh my gosh. But it's because they are so committed to the person that they are caring for that they don't take care of themselves. And so we try to help with information and assistance. We provide respite, which is a break for caregivers, so that they can be strong and healthy to care for the person that they are so committed to. Nutrition, obviously we've talked about meals. Then we also have a component that talks about how important health and wellness is. We do evidence-based health promotion activities. We have Tai Chi, Matter of Balance, those kind of programs. And actually, COVID has provided us with a virtual platform for us to be able to do that virtually. So that's a positive that's come out of COVID. And then we also fund some supportive services like your transit authorities that provide lots and lots of miles for folks. And through COVID, they've stepped up in getting medications to older adults. They have stepped up in making sure that they get nutrition because the volunteer base for Meals on Wheels was primarily an older adult, and some have opted out, rightly so, their choice, their comfort level based on the COVID. And so transits have stepped up and done a little bit more flexibility with what they've been able to do. Excuse me. So in fiscal year ending June 30th of 2020, across our region, which again is the 7 Southwestern counties, we delivered 110,987 meals to homebound folks. That's a huge amount for the 7 Southwestern counties. We also had a little over 70,000 congregate nutrition meals. That, of course, stopped in March because of COVID, and folks aren't able to gather. We hope in 2021 we'll be able to gather in some shape or form. We'll have to see. Safety is always our prime concern. There was a little over 19,000 hours of in-home aid provided, a little over 4,000 days of adult day for older adults, which also helps caregivers. If they have the primary task of taking care of a person and they can take them to an adult day program, then that relieves some of that. And it also provides socialization and monitoring, and you have the adult day health, which provides for a nurse on site. So hopefully that will be able to reopen soon as well. And we served 60 families in family caregiver across the 7 Southwestern counties. We've already served 75, and we're just in February. So we may double what we did in last fiscal year. And we kind of knew that was going to happen because, I mean, would probably make sense to you. Folks are trying to keep their loved ones out of long-term care. I'm sure you've heard about folks not being able to visit in long-term care and all of those things that ebb and flow in the long-term care environment. And so folks trying to keep their loved ones at home, if at all possible, has resulted in our family caregiver numbers rising. Another thing that has risen is our requests for legal. We have a legal program where we have contracts with attorneys across the 7 counties. We are only the administrative portion of that, but it provides for we provide the funding for a will or a power of attorney, or sometimes an hour of consult for an older adult to get those documents that are much needed. And as you can well imagine, that has upticked as well, because when COVID hit, nobody could go in with their loved one to a hospital. I mean, my mother fell in July, and my sister and I sat in the parking lot of Haywood Regional for 3 hours because we couldn't go in with her. And so folks that didn't have their affairs in order, or things needed to be changed, there was just more of an emphasis on that. So our legal numbers have increased. And if you know somebody that needs a legal document, please let our office know. We're happy to help with that. Again, we're only the administrative piece. We don't get into any of the legal part. We're not attorneys and don't profess to be. So all of us provide information and assistance. We do a lot of mediation and a lot of training, both in the community as well as in long-term care facilities and in different places. We also do quite a bit of training at our community colleges for our nurses, our CNAs. I teach a social work with older adults class at Western in the fall. We just feel like that's part of what we are tasked to do, is to help in any way we can to provide good training and good information to folks that are going out to take care of our older adults. We are going to be in that who knows, tomorrow I may need assistance. And I want someone who knows what they're doing and have the ability to try and understand me, to be able to care for me. So that's a big part of what we feel like we need to be doing. Again, we talked about the ombudsman going into facilities when it is COVID friendly. We take complaints, mediate complaints, try to make things better for the resident. Again, we are there for the resident and their rights and responsibility to that particular resident. We've talked about family caregiver. We talked about the monitoring. We do monitoring. We not only help on the forefront of the money, but we also come in on the backside to make sure that the money is spent as it is supposed to be. And as you can well imagine and have probably heard, there is a huge amount of money that has come from the federal government via the Families First funding as well as the CARES funding. A lot of it was specific to nutrition for older adults, but there were some other components, family caregiver and some other components that came with that funding. So we've been working through that. It's kind of ironic. The Aging Network across the state has always taken care of their older adults as best we could. And we just kind of did what we were supposed to do and meet the need when the call came and those kind of things. And then when COVID hit, folks started asking, who's taking care of the older adult? Who's going to get their prescriptions? Who's going to get their groceries? All of those things. And we also had folks who had never known about our services or needed our services who now needed them because of the environment we find ourselves in. As Paula mentioned, we have collaborated with the Mountaineer. It's been a wonderful relationship. Our second edition of the Seniors Magazine went to print last week. We're excited about seeing it in its totality. It has some very good articles in it, speak to caregivers, also speaks to how folks have changed, maneuvered, helped, all of those things during the COVID environment that we find ourselves in. And then in the back, it has a listing of services by county for older adults and their caregivers, as well as a regional page, because some of our services, mental health and some other hospice and palliative care services serve on a regional basis. It's not just in one county. So, we're excited to see it. If you want a box, you call me. I'll be glad to give you a box. We gave out about 12,000. It actually was about a year and a half ago because we did it in September of, Lord, I've lost all track of time, 19. And then we ended up not doing one in 2020 for reasons that you can figure out. And so we're excited to see it. We're excited for folks to enjoy it, and we're excited to provide the resource for the communities and for the region. And I'm open to answering any questions or any comments that you have.
Sarajane, for those of us who are not up on our North Carolina geography, the 7 southwestern counties start with Haywood and go west, correct?
That's right. I usually say, I didn't today, but I usually say Haywood County to the Tennessee line. We're closer to 5 other states' capitals than we are to our own. But we wouldn't live anywhere else.
Is there a means test to your services?
Typically, no.
So just being old, we could request legal services or any of the other things that you provide?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's 60 and above.
Most of us qualify there.
Yeah, I almost do as well. In fact, I do qualify in Jackson because their evidence-based health promotion activities are 50 and above. And so I could participate, go in there and ride that spin cycle, but I haven't done it yet.
Sarajane,
Yes.
do y'all do, you mentioned the number of meals, I think. Do you coordinate with programs and are actually implement? In other words, Meals on Wheels delivers a lot of programs, a lot of meals.
That's right.
And there are other programs that I think would be under your category, but you would not implement them. Would you just oversight or coordination on those programs?
We do coordination and oversight. We don't actually deliver. Well, we do deliver meals some on Jackson County. We volunteer and deliver meals in Jackson because we all live here. But yes, we are the coordinating, getting the money, getting the paperwork correct, getting the signatures, all of those things. So yes.
In the ombudsman, do you have people actually visit retirement homes, things like that? Or what does that involve?
We do. We have the long-term care ombudsman that is part of my staff. It's Anna Rogers. She used to work at Mountain Projects. Larry Reeves was our long-term care ombudsman. Many of you may know Larry, and you may recognize Anna's name as well. And in non-COVID days, we are visiting in and out of facilities on a regular basis. We also have advisory committees that are appointed by your county commissioners that do friendly visits with us on a quarterly basis. I always use when I was the ombudsman, I went into a facility in Swain County and I had talked with this lady many times. But she, and she knew who I was, but she really didn't know who I was. And I walked in with a lady who was on the committee, and a resident of Swain County had been a hairdresser. And she had been this lady's hairdresser. And we walked in and Irene stepped back out of her room and motioned for me. And I came down there and she said, she wants hot coffee. Hers is lukewarm. She wants it really, really hot. Can we make that happen? I said, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. We can make that happen. And we did. And for those of us that are up and independent and walking and talking and moving, that's, on some level, it appears to be a small thing. It really, really isn't. That is something that is special and wonderful that we can easily make happen. That just is a game breaker.
You mentioned Larry Reeves. I believe he was the man who helped at First Methodist Church with an Alzheimer's group. I don't know if he did it as a volunteer or if it was actually under his responsibilities, but he was very helpful to some friends of mine who were having, spouses with Alzheimer's. So I do think that y'all do some things that maybe we don't recognize as being part of your responsibilities. And thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, we are a part of support groups in most all of the 7 counties. And while that was a part of Larry's job, I think after he retires, if it ever can come back together, he will continue with it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a real need. Our club does a lot for helping with funding for research. But I think that is a place where it really hits the road, is for families who, as you say, the caregiver often passes before the person is being cared for. And it's a very helpful what you did. I know during COVID, it's not being done, but thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we enjoy it.
Sarajane, do you have, does each county have its own director that works for Council on Aging? I know at one time, a number of years ago, we had that. I actually served on the board for what they call the Council on Aging.
Yes.
And for Haywood County. Do we still have those boards and we still have a director, or is it all run out of Silver office now as a region?
Well, Haywood is a little bit different. Every other county has a senior services agency that is under one roof. And because of some extenuating circumstances that happened in Haywood several years ago, and many of you would probably remember, that council was dissolved, and the services were retained by what at that time was DSS, and home aid and home delivered meals was taken on under the auspices of what is now HHS, if you will. And the congregate nutrition and the in-home aid one, as well as senior companion, was taken and put under the auspices of Mountain Projects. So those agencies work well together. I am the liaison for a committee that meets on a quarterly basis, just like all the other counties do, to make sure that those services continue. And we're looking for community members for the Haywood County Block Grant. It's called Home and Community Care Block Grant Committee. So if anybody's interested in that, you can let me know. But it is an overview of the services that are being provided in your county, and we keep up together with the funding numbers to make sure that we don't overspend and all of those kind of administrative duties that we need to stay on top of. Does that answer your question?
Oh, it does. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Do we have other questions? Raise your hand if you have a question. Steve, I see none at this point. You're muted, Steve.
Sarajane, thank you for coming and being with us today. So I'm guessing you're zooming out of your office in Silva.
I'm actually zooming out of my home. We are about 95% home based at this point. We go in and out, but I'm at my house. Yeah.
Very good. I've worked with your boss, Sarah Thompson.
Yeah.
Things with the Chamber of Commerce here. So,
Awesome.
And I hope she and her girls are doing well. If you pass my well wishes on.
I will. They are. Thank you.
If there are no further questions and nothing else for the good of Rotary today, next week we'll be talking about wolves. So have a good week, and we will see you back next week. Steve Brown, have a good week on Wednesday. We'll be thinking about you.
Thank you, Sarajane.